All right, guys, I was wrong about yesterday's practice. I did not expect Zion Johnson to be at starting center in pads. I thought it would probably be Monday, but we'll get to that in a second here because we're going to be talking about Rashawn Slater as he got a massive extension. When I say massive, I mean we've never seen anything like this. I mean, 92 million in guaranteed money is an NFL record. 28.5 million is a record for his position. 114 million over 4 years. And even though Rashawn Slater has not been able to stay healthy, even when he is banged up, he's still elite. When he's fully healthy, probably the best left tackle in football. And for the Chargers and Justin Herbert, you have to protect him, especially with Joe Alt on the right side being locked up for the foreseeable future because he's so young going into his second season. And the interior is kind of shaky. We're about to talk about that in a couple of minutes here. But Rashawn Slater, he's just the type of guy that every team dreams of having. I mean, even before Jim Harbaugh and Jim Hortez saw him take a snap, they picked up that fifth-year option, of course, and then they end up getting the extension done. And Slater still was showing up to camp. He was still working out. He was still at practice. He was training, of course, with his own crew and things like that as well. We knew this was going to happen. We knew that eventually he was going to get a massive, massive deal, and it happened to be today. Now, I haven't been on my phone all day, so it's currently 8:53 p.m. when I'm recording this. This news broke probably 5 hours ago to this point, so my bad about that. I got to be a little bit more up to date on just looking at the news so I can get out content. But you look at Slater, he came out of the 2021 draft. He was a 13th pick. His first season, he was already an all-pro type of player. For a rookie left tackle to be one of the best at your position, it's pretty much unheard of. Like, that's just absurd to think about. But then the year after that, he dealt with multiple ankle injuries. He still did play and start. The second half, I thought he was still very, very good. But that's when the injuries started to occur. And then 2024, what was it, week 3, he ends up injuring his pectoral. And then he ends up missing the Chiefs game. If he had been out there, they'd probably win that game. And then, of course, he ends up returning and plays the rest of the season, was a Pro Bowler. But the difference from Slater being healthy is, again, the best. And then when he's banged up, he's still like a Pro Bowl type of guy. But if he can stay healthy, the Chargers, they feel like they can beat anyone every single week, especially, again, with Joel on the right side. And then the interior, of course, with Zion Johnson now playing center. And I thought, honestly, he looked pretty good. I'm not going to say he was incredible or anything like that, but there was a lot more good than there was a lot more bad. Yes, if it was a real game, Herbert would have been hit a couple of times. There was a false start. He did look confused at times, but for a first practice, for a guy who didn't play center at all in college, didn't play it in the NFL, it couldn't have gone much better. And you also have to account for how good the Chargers' defensive line is. Like, this is one of the most complete defensive lines, if not the most complete defensive line in all of football, at least in my biased opinion. I mean, you've got to deal with Deshaun Hand. You've got to deal with even like Jamari Caldwell. I think is going to be a future stud. Tart, Atito. And then Naquan Jones is very, very solid. And then also you have to go out there and pull. It's Diane Henley. Like, have fun with that, right? Khalil Mack's also out there too. I know he's coming off of the edge, but just things like that. And Jesse Minter is an absolute stud calling the defense and running that. So just given the circumstances, I thought Zion played very, very well. And he's so athletic for his size. So when he's getting out there and pulling on like pitches and things like that, and he's getting a full head of steam, nobody wants to get in front of him except for Diane Henley, who is an anomaly because he's a rising superstar at the linebacker position wearing that green dot, of course. I mean, you talk about just being an absolute menace on a football field. That's what you think of Diane Henley. And Derwin James as well, moving around. You like to see that. That's the beauty of Derwin James is if somebody gets hurt, like which they did. They were already down a corner, the Chargers, and then Dante got hurt. So all of a sudden, okay, you play in the nickel, play at safety. Derwin can pretty much play anywhere. He could probably play corner if he really wanted to. Like, he easily could play corner, can match up with Travis Kelce. Like, we've seen him just do it all. I thought that was pretty cool. But in terms of just winning matchups, winning one-on-ones, I'm not going to say Zion was necessarily like incredible at that because we didn't get to see him do that. But in terms of just snapping the ball and blocking, he did good. I didn't think that Zion personally moving to center would be this effective so early on. If this was the first practice, I think legitimately in the next month this could work. And also, you have to understand as well that you look at like Bradley Bozeman, for example. He's probably going to end up playing left guard. He's listed by ESPN as the left guard. I think ultimately that's what's going to happen. I think Zion's going to be a much better center than he is a guard. I do think that the Chargers do need to get a Bozeman replacement. I thought he was going to be brought back for depth purposes. Now he's starting. I'm not big on that at all, but Zion has so much potential. And also you have to understand that Bozeman is 30 years old. And then you look at like Zion Johnson, he is 25 years old, so he's 5 years younger, which matters a lot. I mean, 30, you can be an offensive lineman and be 30, but it's just the potential-wise for the Chargers. They clearly believe in this guy, and he wasn't drafted by this regime. So the fact that they have this much faith in him means something. It means a lot. There's no question about it. Outside of that, what do I want to talk about? Let me check my notes that I wrote down from the practice. There was a huge couple of plays by Darius Davis. He had 3 touchdowns, and I've been mentioning this all camp, is he needs to get more work. He's just so fast, such a good athlete. He stretches the floor, or stretches the field, basketball terminology. He just needs to be out there more for the Chargers, especially to be able to help Ladd McConkey create space and just let him, of course, work underneath and things like that. Because if you have a speedster out there, well, the defense is going to have to take a step back, and then underneath, of course, is going to be able to work off of that. We also saw as well another incredible day by Nico Reed, who had his second interception of camp, picking off Justin Herbert. It was an underthrown ball, but it still was an amazing play. Like, there's just no question about it. It wasn't a slot fade as well. I mean, a slot fade to Ladd McConkey, I don't know how I feel about that, but hey, Chargers ran it. Didn't work. I thought, honestly, that linebacker Manny Johnson had a good day. He had a couple tackles for a loss. He also was able to run down Taylor Heinicke, which Taylor Heinicke is an underrated athlete. That's a good play, man. I'm excited about him for sure. A lot of these rookies are just continue to have good days. I mean, Nico Reed was undrafted, and the Chargers picked him up. I mean, there's something here. There's just a lot of depth on this team. I don't think there's a team in the division that has more depth than the Chargers. You could even argue the AFC. Obviously, the Eagles probably have the most depth. I mean, they won the Super Bowl. The Chargers, from just top to bottom, man, I mean, their second unit can give the first unit like a run. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, you can put the second unit for the Chargers out there against the first unit. Obviously, the first unit's going to win. But there's gonna be a lot of times where they don't. And we've even seen that so far in camp, is the second unit holds their own. And they're fighting to compete. Because it's not like mostly when you think of the starters and the bench, it's blatant, but that's not the case for the Chargers. Is we don't even know who's going to be starting where yet. Like, receiver is still an option, defensive line still an option, corner is still an option, linebacker outside next to Diane Henley is still an option. We just don't know. Yeah, Denzel Perryman and Troy Dye, Perryman was out today. Dye got the start, and he's been very energetic. I mean, he actually was. There was not supposed to be any hitting going on, and he actually hit. I think it was Kamani Vidal, if I remember correctly, and that started. It was not taken too kindly by the offense, but Dye was just so amped up. He's competing for a starting spot that he kind of just let the moment, or let that instance get a little bit ahead of him. But I don't hate that at all. That, if anything, that's going to benefit the Chargers in the long run, is just them playing like that.